The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derbies, host of the 2014 Bash for Cash Memorial Day Weekend, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Their event sponsors, DerbyParts.com and DerbyTees.com. Additional consideration provided by Cioppa Racing and CioppaRacing.com. The 2014 Keystone Nationals, July 19th, Brookville, Pennsylvania. And GH Graphics and their Junket apparel line. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast coming to you live from the 2014 Bash for Cash in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Good morning. It is Championship Sunday at Bash for Cash 2014. There is steam rising from countless pit stalls across the pit area. You can smell the torches working. The welders have been crackling all morning. 9 o'clock, here we go, live from the Cioppa Racing Pit Box. Josh Decker, Brian Tompkins with me. We tried to line up a couple interviews. We were hoping to have the Hoosier Hammer, as it were, Bobby Brockway, come over and join us a little bit. He's got tons of work to do on his car. The Cioppas, those guys are all working feverishly on all three of those cars. All three of those entries have now qualified for the feature. Atmosphere, very tense here. We're going to see a lot of cars. We've already had 440 full-size automobiles registered. We got another 200 being added to that total as we go through the compacts action kicking off here this morning at 11 o'clock. We're going to have the consolation rounds. We're going to have compacts, wire class for the 80s cars, street stock division, compact trucks, full-size trucks. It is going to be a wild championship Sunday.
Oh, no. There's so many cars.
You're getting track hypnotized again.
I'm just looking and watching. You know, it's we got a lot of guys working on cars in front of us and all different sorts of damage. And what I really like about it is all these guys got crews. I mean, Cioppa's got 20 people over there. You know, Ben and Werner over there helping. And then you're looking at Cadillac Heaven. They got 20 guys over there working on their couple cars. And there's just some awesome stuff. I love seeing bent cars. I just love seeing guys working on bent cars.
I mean, one of the criticisms that seem to be rampant about the top tier shows is that they're boring and they're slow. We watched a total of 8 qualifying heats last night. They took some time to get through, but you're going to have that when you've got the quality and caliber of driver and quality and caliber of build that you see. These cars came off of the track and they were bent.
Yes, very much so.
Well, you know, some people think of some people are just waiting for everybody to full track, and that's not what Demolition Derby's all about. I mean, yeah, that's part of it, but also it's really fun to watch great drivers go out there and finesse themselves around the track and get themselves out of dangerous spots. And, you know, Cioppa last night couldn't get in I think it was Todd couldn't get in reverse the whole time. He had to pull the pin to put in reverse. I mean, he was fighting it the whole time and still qualified. And, you know, that's part of the fun, too, I think, is seeing people overcome obstacles out there.
Mark Cioppa, he lost his... He didn't lose it, but he didn't have the degree of steering about halfway through.
He was pigeon-toed.
He took a bad front-end shot, and he drove it to the end, and then he lost the steering. And then he continued driving into the feature.
Drove into the feature. That's something that Brian has touched on. Brian typically isn't one to strategize a whole lot. It's just basically drive through whatever's in front of you and turn around and do it again.
Absolutely.
What did you think about?
Absolutely.
What did you think about? You know, Josh made a great point with that. What did you think about what you saw out there in terms of the qualifying heats here at Bash for Cash?
It was pretty much what I expected. Like I'd done some studying before we had come out. And, you know, there was the guys who were here to drive hard, and I love that. But there was also the guys that were here that are on a job.
Yeah.
You know, I had a very successful driver tell me, look, this is like a job. You want to get paid. And you can see the guys that are here on a job that want to get paid.
Definitely.
And you can call it sandbagging. You can call it smart driving.
Team Misfits is here.
You can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, those guys are going to be battling for $10,000. You know, and it's just amazing. I mean,
let's remember, there's 400 cars out here that have months of work in them.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right, Brian. I mean, sometimes people say, like, why do you guys care about the money? You know, but that's at county fair levels. Yeah, $500 we don't care about. 10 grand? I'm taking that pretty damn serious, and I know that almost every single guy here is.
Yeah, that's you know,
that's a ton of money.
That's an excellent payout.
You see who just showed up?
That would be Mr.
The man,
Guard.
the myth, the legend.
Brian's new Uncle Dave.
Nice. We'll take that. Thank you, sir.
Right.
No,
No, you don't have to give him money. It's
No,
fine.
not Brian.
no. I'll take a guard Mopar, but I don't need cash. We're good.
Drop it. Drop it. It's not going to happen. Just stop. It's not
having
It's not going to happen.
If I'm dreaming big.
You are dreaming.
There's no question about that. Where did the guys go? I don't know what happened. We had this thing framed up good, and now the camera's all ski-jawed over here. Josh Decker wants to be the center of attention here. Either that or
I got Ben to come. Come on, Ben. He sees us. We're good.
get this thing straightened out a little bit. You know, Brian, we were talking a little bit more here after the heats had concluded about the length of them and how exhausting it was for the drivers that are out there. It was a warm day yesterday.
Oh, very warm.
A very very warm day. Plenty of sunshine, and it was nice to hang out in that. But you could actually watch the pace go up and down, up and down, up and down as they went through. Ben, go ahead and grab the tripod and just slide it that way just a touch. There we go. That'll much better. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good job. Ben's our roadie, Ben Host.
He's not only a great builder, he's pretty good at electronics.
Former inspector here at Bash for Cash.
Everything.
In the past, and now he's been relegated to moving cameras. And
I didn't say that. That was Chris. That was Chris.
Now Ben's going to get all twitchy, and I'm going to be nervous about being pulled out of my chair backwards.
I don't know if you noticed that there are some big arms hanging out of the sleeves. You may not want to, just leave it right there.
By the way, Vern, I'm going to need help over here.
Yeah. Vern's got our back.
So Josh Decker,
yeah.
What do you think, man? I mean, does this go to the top of the bucket list?
Oh my God, I'm running here. There's no doubt about it. I'm it's so cool. You start coming out to these fairs and you start saying to yourself, why the heck am I going to them $300 and $400 and $500 shows and wasting days of my life going to them? I mean, this is where I should be going. I should just spend the time building a better car and come to something like this.
And all the cars that you got stockpiled, you'd be able to come to a lot of different national shows and get your butt kicked.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can kick my butt all year.
But you know what? When you get done, you go, I just got beat by the best of the business.
But Brian, seriously, I'm okay. I would be okay with that. It's like if you lost one of these heats, it's like, well, you were just stuck with the 20 best around. I mean, I'm okay losing.
Yeah, you lost a feature to some of the best drivers that are going to be on the track.
Yeah, the best drivers in America, not just Ohio. The best drivers in America. I mean,
and let me throw this out there: if you're a driver, because I consider myself a decent driver. If you think of yourself as a good driver and you've never been to one of these shows and you're doing good in your local area, really put it on your list. Put it on. Yeah, Brian's right. Come watch and then get out here, because if you're kind of getting to the point where you're, in our area, everyone's kind of getting bored, I'd say a little bit.
If your local stuff is feeling stale, this is going to rejuvenate it completely.
Absolutely. That's exactly the way to say it, Chris. Yep. It's just like a whole new, it's like, wow, there's so much more to Demolition Derby than what I knew.
Completely new world.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
And the stuff that we got coming up today is going back the other way from some of the heavier stuff that we saw with the turn back the clock division in the 80s class. Those were fairly heavy cars.
Awesome. Yeah.
We've got the stock compact trucks. We've got fairly the
80s wire,
80s wire, and then the street stock class.
Yep, bone stock with key start and everything. Battery's still up front. That's one wheel peel.
School.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say it's like a 6-minute heat. I mean, how long could that possibly be? 10 minutes, maybe? They ain't gonna go 20 minutes, Ben. 20 minutes, Ben? No.
You know what? If those guys are out there driving smart, the way that we saw some of the guys last night, I mean, I don't think by any means that you can call anybody in the wire and the strictly stock classes. I don't think you're going to have the opportunity to be a sandbagger out there, because you're going to get jacked up quick.
Yeah.
But I think that if they drive smart, I think you might see a little bit of distance to that. I think 20 minutes is probably a reasonable amount of time. Yeah. I mean, unofficial, I think what we figured out last night, unofficially, the average time of the heats last night was about 51 minutes.
Yeah, about 50 minutes.
It was about 51 minutes, and that's not to say that they were boring.
No.
They were hitting plenty. They were hitting plenty hard. And there was cars that were coming out of those heats that were absolutely inside out.
Yeah, that now have to go run a feature
to qualify for the feature.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even some of the guys that made the feature, though, I mean, they have got junk, but they're gonna do, they're gonna rebuild what they have, and they're gonna go out there and give it their all. I mean, that's
guys forget too, 50 minutes. Now, where I'm from, 20, 30. I'm exhausted after 30. 50 minutes of a heat. and you still got more than 5 cars left.
Yeah.
You got to think to yourself, how would I drive out there? You can't go balls to the wall. You actually get tired where you got to like start slowing your own body down and saying like, I got to reserve some energy here because I got 20 more minutes to go.
And I think that's something that a lot of just pure Derby fans, guys people that have never driven, they don't realize the work that goes into driving one of these cars.
No.
I mean, you get the adrenaline boost, which is going to tire you out afterwards. You get knocked around pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on. Lose power steering or don't have power steering.
A great point. That if it was perfect, if your car was perfect the whole heat, that's tough enough.
Yeah.
But again, you have problems like Todd had last night, and oh my God, he said he was so exhausted he couldn't move his arms at one point. He had to put his arms down for a minute.
Do you ever at any point when you're driving, do you ever hit a so you realize that all of a sudden you spin the wheel and your car still goes straight, so you've lost your steering, or you see the hose comes off the radiator, all the water goes out. Do you still get that heart stop?
No.
You don't get that anymore?
No.
I honestly,
You haven't ran in 5 years. You don't remember.
Wow. Honestly, I tend to knock my radiators out quick. So they're not always hot enough to steam. But I run without power steering. But I mean, I know in our hometown. Sorry, Josh Field. But in our hometown, when it gets close to the end, I can feel my shoulders. I mean, it feels like I've done a workout.
I'm not even talking about that, but just like you're talking about the first you got to contend with the adrenaline dump, which is how long is that going to last? They're going to give you maybe 10 minutes before you have the adrenaline dump.
Maybe
maybe that. But then you realize, oh crap, I don't have any steering, and there's still 15 cars out there. You just get that that extra that second boost where maybe even a little panic.
No,
before you regroup your thoughts?
No. I don't get like that. Then you immediately have to regroup mentally and say like, okay, now I'm in a whole different thing. Let me look at the track. And a couple times last night, I saw guys actually giving up with bad steering. They got kind of stuck. They were fighting, trying to go forward. Then they just gave up.
Yeah.
And some people do that, but also I've seen a lot of guys that. Well, I think it was Steve that lost steering.
Yeah.
He kept going. He kept working it and fighting it.
Mark.
And somehow it was it Mark?
Yeah, it was
and
Mark.
And then he qualified with it. I don't know. When I get to that point, sometimes it's just, it's kind of a, you have to.
Does it make you feel better as a driver when you know that you had no steering and you can still get the car to turn around and still qualify?
Dude, that's what makes a driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes a driver. I've learned from some of the best. And if you think of what was the best show of some of the best drivers, like when you lost steering or when you lost a wheel or when, and then you still, exactly, Brian. And that's what separates the guys that can overcome and still win.
Yep.
And you guys hit on a great point, is the amount of work that it takes to drive one of these cars. You're constantly shifting, you're constantly monitoring, your head's on a swivel, looking at all different directions because you've got stuff flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, you've got the other things to contend with between being bounced around. You could lose your steering, you have wheels come off, you got steam, it's hot. I mean, it was physically hot outside, and then inside you got all these open engines, so you got all that hot air coming into the car as well. I mean, it is an exhausting proposition, and it almost looked like either it was an unwritten rule among everybody in the 80s heat number 4, or everybody was at about the same fitness level and they got tired and recovered about the same time. Or maybe it was one guy decided to slow the pace down, so everybody was just watching it. It's hard to tell, and nobody's going to give you the honest answer to it anyway.
Well,
but the pace slowed down, and then it picked back up at the same time.
I got the answer for that. It comes to a point in a derby, and in that heat especially, where it was almost a stalemate, 3 versus 3 at a point.
Yeah.
You remember that, Brian?
Yep.
And that's when Chris was saying it really slowed down because all of a sudden there's a pecking order.
Yeah.
And guys follow that pecking order.
The expectation is that team member number 3 is going to do everything they can to take out one of the other two. You're the sacrificial lamb, bro.
Yeah.
That's the pecking order.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And, that's part of derbying. I know people don't like to talk about that, but there's absolutely a pecking order out of there. And if you're at the end, sometimes you have to realize yourself, if you're the 6th guy and it's like, yep, I'm number 6 on this group, you better change. You can't sit out there and start bagging it, or what. They're gonna start teeing off on you. It's time for you to step it up because you're at the end of your derby day that day, whether you like it or not.
Time's up.
Yeah,
you start beating everybody, or you're out.
It's one of those things where it's almost to the point where you decide, all right, I'm gonna if it comes to that, I'm gonna take myself out trying to get somebody else out.
Right.
You're not gonna you're not going to. I wouldn't want to just sit there and take the abuse. You know,
I had a lot of fun watching the driving of I know we talk about him a lot, but he's a real good friend of the show. Bobby Brockway, after he lost steering, and watching the chess match being played between himself and Don Santel in the X2C.
Yeah.
Bobby run awesome last night. There was a time where he was stuck with one other car down on the bottom corner, and all of our group was standing up there saying like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna have to duke it out with Bobby," and the guy about 30 seconds tried to take some pops. Bobby was owning him, and the guy just drove way to the other side of the track, left Bobby alone. Was like, "I don't want to fight this fight. I'm getting out of here." It was kind of funny to see, but I wouldn't have fought that fight either.
No. There's definitely like I said,
he can drive.
Chris could find the name for us.
We want
Heat 4, old school. The Braun that was driving the wagon, number 31. He was so impressive to watch. He was like a surgeon. I mean, he would pick somebody out, and he was on them until they were done, and then he'd move on to the next one. And that's with a, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 pound, Chevy wagon. He's doing that.
That's Trent Brown that you're talking
Trent
about.
Brown.
30 minutes into that derby, the back of his wagon was like fresh from like when he started. He'd been running frontwards the whole time. It's like, you're running a wagon. Do you know that?
Yeah.
He never turned it around.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, it's still straight.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling to me.
I'm going to say that's going to be a car to contend with in the future today.
And the engine in it is just, oh my gosh. He was kind of putting around, and then just rev that thing up, and he was fun to watch for sure.
Looking through because I wanted to recognize somebody here. Guy was in the number 345.
341?
341, was it? 345, Shane Jones.
Yeah.
Shelbyville, Indiana. He was in that the fourth 80s in newer heat.
Ran very good.
Ran awesome.
Yeah.
We had Trevor on the show at the end of the night last night, or early this morning even. It was probably around 1:45.
Yeah.
When we talked with
a
with
couple
him.
hours ago.
just a couple hours ago. It certainly was. Trevor Jones from Montgomery, Indiana, in the 727. He had a tough heat as well. He had a lot of work to do, and at the same time, he's still in pretty good shape, all things considered.
There wasn't one heat that wasn't a hard heat.
No.
I mean, could you think of one heat? It's like, I'd rather go in that heat. No.
Nope.
No, definitely not.
The last heat of the turn back the clock, that's where 90% of the wagons were. I mean, there was all the wagons pretty much for the majority were in that heat, and it was, you were earning your way. I'm being redundant. Everybody earned their way, but I mean, it's just there's no other way to state it. I mean,
we were talking to Russ at the end of the night, and I said, Russ, how crazy is it to see 20 clamshells get wrecked? I go, if you put $2,000 a price tag on each of them, you watch $40,000 and GM shells get junked, and he goes, nah, there was way more than 20 here. It's like, okay,
yeah,
it's true.
It's like, okay, $50,000 or $60,000 in wagon shells got wrecked here in the last 2 days, which is just incredible,
amazing.
Just to let you know who is at this point in the feature, starting with the turn back the clock class. Bobby Short qualified, Jeremy Heinen, JoJo Davis, Chris Kiskiden, and Donnie Lane came out of heat number 1. Josh Kaiser, Randy Hiley, Tyson Combs, Corey Roman, and Todd Cioppa in the pink and black wagon. That is going to be the rundown from heat number 2, going to the turn back the clock feature. Mark Cioppa had to really drive that 001, but he got it in. He qualified, so we'll have to see if we see him later on. Joey Braun, Bubba Malman, Paul Petro, and Steve Cioppa qualifying out of heat number 3, and heat 4, the one that had a very wagon heavy heat. Justin Buchanan, Trent Braun, Roger Hickman, Toby Hiley, and Kelly in the number 14, and I can't even begin to read what that last name is. It says in the 80s and newer heat, Corey McKillips, he's qualifying in the 701. Good to see him moving on. He's from Sandusky. The 1104 is Tony Long. Jim Youngblood, excited to see what he can do. Davey Chapman is going to the consolation round, which I was surprised to see. We've also got the defending champion going to the consolation round in Rick Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with more qualifiers, Brett Petro and Lad Hosmer going on from heat number 1 in the 80s and newer. Heat 2, Ryland Kratzer, he's moving on. Eric Bennett, Trevor Jones, we talked about Michael Patton, and Ed Taylor also moving on. Adam Williams, Adam Fushi, Brian Joy, and Jason Pennington out of heat number 3. Heat number 4, Daryl Monroe. I mean, we didn't even talk that much today about Daryl Monroe, but he did a great job in the 18 and a half.
He ran great.
Shane Jones, Roger Hickman, Caleb Joy, Colin Crane and Bobby Brockway all moving on as well. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of who's out there. But at this point, Bobby Cousineau from Canada, he's going into the Constellation event. Jason McIntyre, Brian Horsley going into the in the Constellation event. Jason Joyner going into the Constellation round. We're going to see here an action up there. It kicks off at 11 o'clock. Just the Logan Duval didn't qualify. Lucas Coffey didn't qualify.
Yeah,
So
Logan looked really good out there until he lost the tire. He lost the front tire and it was done.
Vince Olivius didn't qualify. Eric Adkins failed to qualify. He's going to the Constellation round. And Eric had some problems all weekend. They changed his car to pink. In inspection line, they just basically coated the thing, and he got it ready to go, and then he had some bad luck out there and got shoved up over the wall. You know, the concerns when you get up over the wall like that is are you hurting rear ends, are you hurting drive shafts, any problems like that? But it looks like his was just fine. In terms of some of the other guys, Randy Swanson didn't qualify. Rich Rittinger, Doug Borhoff isn't in. Justin Hartzell isn't in. I mean, the list goes on and on. So you have to. So you've already gone through a feature.
And you're gonna have to run.
You're gonna have to run another feature in order to get to the money round.
And this feature is the two features today to qualify.
Yeah, the two Constellation rounds, right?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's crazy.
They're going to be, 20, 30 cars out there?
All day.
So instead of trying to beat, 10 or 15, there's going to be 30 or more guys, and you have to beat 25 of them.
Nick Whitley in the turn back to Klaus. Nick
had a great car.
Not advancing. He had a great car. Doodle, Lynn Lewis is not moving on. He's got to go to the Constellation. And this is with the assumption that these guys are able to get their cars back together. Matt Longest, he did not qualify. Shannon Good from up in Cattaraugus, New York. He is not moving on.
Rick Clark, as I said last night, when you're a defending champion, you always hear guys say, I got a target on my back. And I'll tell you right now, Rick had a target on his back.
They knew where he was.
Right from the word go, they worked him, and they got him on the wall, and they virtually just waved goodbye to him. They put him up there and said, see you later, buddy.
Yep.
Henry Pensek is hoping to finish off his wagon. And he said it's pretty hurt, but they're going to try and pull the front end down a little bit and put a new tire on it and send it back out there one more time and ruin it again. And he's also got his daughter's also running in the youth class.
Yeah. How awesome is that?
Hank's a great
He's pretty excited. I mean, he's just stoked that she's running out there today, and we wish both of them the best and hope that. I mean, can you imagine if Hank makes it to the feature?
I know, it'd be awesome.
That would be great.
You know what's kind of cool? We were talking about it being a family thing, and we didn't touch on this, but they had not only 100 Power Wheels, or 120, Russ said, Power Wheels, then they got a youth division.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you literally could bring your whole family.
Yeah.
The young kids can run Power Wheels. If you got a little bit older ones, stick them in a youth, and you bring something and run it yourself. I mean, you could bring the whole family no matter what age.
And everybody's running.
And everyone's... How cool is that, though? I mean, now, a lot of times dads are like, I ain't going to bring the boy because, I'll just... But it's like, wait, well, the Power Wheel out there, I'll bring my boy. He'd be excited to run. He'd stick with you all day. And
well, you think that car isn't going to be painted the same as Dad's? That Power Wheel isn't going to be painted the same as Dad's?
And that's so cool.
Absolutely.
And isn't that really what life's about? I mean, at the end of the day, doing stuff with your kids and to derby with your kids. I mean, my boy's 9 and he's derbied out. I think he gets bored of it because Dad does it so much. But I can't wait for the day I pull out on the track with him. And I know there's a lot of fathers and sons here and brothers and cousins, and it's just good stuff. It's good atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And I haven't heard any bitching. Haven't heard any of it. It's just been, and guys that go against each other, getting out and helping each other and sharing 9-wire and over hammering on each other's cars, and that's what we need. That's Demolition Derby. Then you get on a track, back to business.
Yep, right
but when you're out
business.
here in the pits, it's okay for us all to be friends.
Yep, absolutely. That is so true.
And that's the atmosphere here.
There's a lot more sharing, cooperation than there is in a lot of motorsports.
A huge respect level of each other. I mean, as far as everything here, I mean, I haven't seen anybody been disrespectful, mean, nasty. Everyone's. It's just this is Demolition Derby right here.
Aside of country club style sports, tennis, racquetball, golf, go-kart racing, and pool bowling, stuff like that, what other sport is there that you can go out there and actually compete with your kid, with you being an adult and them being 3, 4, 5 years old?
Yeah, this is just...
Or, up even in the youth divisions where they're 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, there just isn't.
There's not. There really is not.
There's a division for them, and eventually, we talked about that a ton yesterday. We talked about it with Gumby and Johnny Gullo, and we touched on it with pretty much on all the shows about how important it is to get the youth involved with it and get them interested in it and get them out there, working with the equipment, even if all they're doing is scraping paint off a car, or scraping mud off of a car, so that before you take it out for a second or third run, you just get them involved and get them out there with you.
Well, even younger and younger generations are getting less and less want to work and do stuff. And it's just so important to get your kids to. I don't care what my son does when he goes out in the garage. He's like, Dad, I want to drill. I want a hammer. It's do whatever you want to do, man. Just do something out here.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't have to work on a car now the way that you had to before. There's so much electronics and stuff that you can't work on a car.
They've taken away the backyard mechanic.
There's so much stuff and inner workings, and there's so much cladding on everything that you pretty much have to take it to a dealership in order to have it worked on for somebody who's just casually acquainted with engines and stuff.
Absolutely right.
These things, they're still pretty much everything out here is still carbureted. You can still fiddle around with that, and it's certainly easy to access them because most of these cars don't have inner fenders anymore.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you could definitely work on stuff.
And there's no video game where you have to do quite the same tuning as it takes on a derby car.
No. No.
Can you imagine sitting in front of your PlayStation, your Xbox, and you have to hit the A button
just sledgehammer down
thousands and thousands of times so that you can peen the quarter panels?
I would do it. I'd be there all day. I would do it, Chris.
We just had another $1 million idea.
Yeah, I know. Save that one. I like that.
Put a pin in that.
Down.
This is just, the pits are filling up. It's just getting busy.
It's getting
busy.
busy.
The fresh cars are coming in and being inspected for today.
You know what's been real fun too is you take a step.
I don't know everything we've done.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
But it's if you go look at a car, you just walk over to the Cioppas, you start talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Then you get over here, Cadillac Kevin. They started talking to us.
There's Josh Buell taking pictures.
Josh Buell.
I think he just heard his name. He's looking around.
Yeah, he's very red.
They've got track prep going on and getting all the barriers and everything in place and moving bleachers and stuff around. Just everybody here has a job and everybody is doing it, and there's no nonsense with the show at all.
Well, yesterday or Friday, it's kind of blending into one now. We talked about how Tim and Russ. Last year they trailered 40-some cars, and this year I haven't heard of one being trailered and leaving. So that's just one thing they improved on. But then you go out and look at the track, and last year they had some problems with the guardrails and guys getting over and hitting poles. There's no poles. The guardrails are still there, but now there's Jersey barriers run alongside of them.
And they're backfilled. Those are hard.
They're just they didn't rest on their laurels. They said, "Hey, look, what can we do to get better?"
You don't want to be hitting concrete walls. That's like Derby in 101. You want to bend a frame rail? Concrete wall.
You want to get Josh Buell on the show?
Josh Buell, you want to come on?
He's not interested.
Take an Advil. You'll be fine.
Uh-oh.
What's cool too is
Vern, I should have run that other camera because we actually have a pretty good look at it. They're trying to clearance a quarter panel on one of these GMs over here. Vern, why don't you let them put that sledgehammer down? Just go kick it for him and knock that
in. Use your hands, Vern. Teach him how it's done.
Come on, Vern. Go swing that hammer. Let's see it. Let's see it New York style, Vern.
You know what's funny is when at my house when we have to hammer or something, I'll grab the sledgehammer. I'll do 4 hammers, and then Vern's like, "Give me that thing." And then Vern will go for half an hour straight, just hammering.
Vern does pour concrete for a living.
Yeah, oh no, he's a big
so
dude.
he's pretty used to the physical labor.
He's a worker.
You'll be amazed at the precision and accuracy that Vern uses when he breaks lengths of curbing over his knee.
Vern is going to step up.
But he wanted over there now.
Yeah, no, he's like, let me in there, guys.
Let me swing this.
He's on it now.
It's funny.
That is so awesome.
But the thing is that is not the only time that's going to happen today, and it's not the first time that it's happened this weekend.
No.
Just complete strangers kind of meandering in and not so much complete strangers. Probably that's a little bit too grand of an example, but guys are able to just kind of matriculate into a pit area and maybe give a hand, and the guys are willing to do that.
Well, it's Friday night when we were set up in the corner where they're doing the inspections.
That was a fun time.
Very fun. But Ben and I were over looking at the line, and he was explaining some stuff to me, and this guy walks up, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "do you guys need help?" And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm not sure." Well, and he told me his name. I'm a promoter from Canada. He said, "I've got my whole crew here. I'd like to help these guys, help you guys out in some way." And I said, Tim's over there and Russ is over there. I said, they're the guys in charge. But I mean,
that's very cool.
A promoter offering his whole group of inspectors or
that's very cool.
Whatever was needed, and I pointed them and they went over and talked, and I don't know what became of it, but I mean, still to offer that up. I mean, it's great.
But that's how it should be, Brian.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree.
That's one of the things that you and I have talked about as we move forward with this National Derby Committee stuff, is trying to get everybody together and pulling in the same direction. And that relationship is the kind of stuff that's important to nurture, and that's the kind of stuff that the sport needs.
Yes, it is.
Hands down.
And like you guys have said, I mean, like you go out into the feature today, and you may have helped some guys, but when it comes down to it, you're still going to compete, and it's there's, for the most part, there's not going to be any hard feelings at the end of the day, and that's just great. I mean,
but again, that's a respect level. It's like if you get beat, you got beat.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yep.
Go build harder. You've heard a lot of guys say that this weekend. It's like, hey, if I get beat, I'm just going to go home and build harder, and that's it. That's the attitude. You can't get upset about stuff.
Do some studying of some videos.
Josh Buell walking behind us in the camera. There you go.
Josh Buell with a cameo.
Said hi to Jeremy, right?
Jeremy Gully.
Jeremy
Gully.
Gully,
Okay,
yeah.
Gully's been listening all weekend. That's true. Thank you.
Oh,
Gully.
you know who else has been listening? Andrew Shoemaker from United States Demolition Derby.
Yep.
And George Highnote from GH Graphics. He's been hanging around the area the whole time. You can see one of his shirts here behind the Bash for Cash logo on your screen at home. Did some recalculating. Having seen some of the trucks and stuff, I think we're going to amend our average, our unofficial, just our own calculation average. Maybe pull that down to maybe 5,000 from the compact level all the way up to the full weld. I think 5,000 is a fair number, given what we've seen now with some of the other entries moving in today.
I agree with that. But I heard about these trucks. There's a guy here that's got.
Wait a minute before we get into that. Okay, so now we went from 400 cars last night. We're adding probably another 200 today. So you take 5,000 and you multiply that by 600, and that gives you $3 million.
All day long. I feel that much money's out here. When all those cars were lined up and you saw like four rows.
That doesn't take into account. That doesn't
gas money, food.
Yeah, all the additionals that are going to go into it just to be here. And now another thing that I'm wondering about as I see spools of 9-wire being. How many pounds of 9-wire are being installed today?
Whoever makes 9-wires, like, they've been selling so much in the last couple of years, like, who's using all this 9-wire? That's Derby guys.
Why are we sending so much 9-wire out? It's like, well, all of it's in Washington Courthouse right now.
That's funny.
But you were talking about the truck.
No, there's a Russ was telling us there's a truck here that these guys like to run 98 and newer F-250 truck frames. And then they're going to put older truck bodies on them, and he's saying, they got $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in them. And it's like, Jesus,
God.
Truck derbies around us, they're bone stock, and it's just kind of neat to see some money spent in these trucks.
It's more of a novelty back our way. It hasn't caught on yet.
Yeah.
But man, you come out this way, and these guys are serious.
There's truck builders.
Yes, there is.
Oh, well, we saw those when we were up at Wintersland with Randy Maslowski in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some truck builders, and those guys, the further north you go, the crazier they get when it comes to trucks.
Yes.
It's a little interesting to me because I've never had a car that, like, those trucks they're building so hard that some of them have been saying they've been running them 5, 6, 7 years. They literally just smash them, put them in the field, then pull them back out, put them in the field, We don't get a lot of that around us, but that would be kind of cool to build one car and then just, run it
all year
for years. Yeah. It would be nice.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Save on some money too.
Jack Teagarden did that once.
Yes, he did.
One time.
Just one time.
So maybe we should just watch Brian's expression here. Let's talk about some of the people that we got the opportunity to meet finally face to face. Brian's been adopted by David Gard. we met him. We saw Jeremy.
The guys from Postal Mopar, which was awesome.
Scotty Bauer and Matt McClure.
Great conversations
Jason
with them.
Brodzinski.
Jason Bredzinski.
Another great guy.
The Jason Bredzinski, by the way, lest anyone think that we don't know who he is.
Chris got him all mad yesterday. Chris acted like he didn't know who he was with a straight face, and Jason was upset about it. I mean, Chris doesn't know who I am. It's like, no, he's joking with me.
We've obviously met all the Cioppas who are very well known in the Derby world.
Brian
the whole Tag family, the whole Tag family we hung out with.
Oh, yeah, we hung out with
great group of guys.
I leaned over and said, Troy Tagg's going to help me build a Cadillac. How cool is that? Josh is like, I had that same talk. So, it's,
he told me he was going to give you the wrong answers, though.
That's okay. I only need 4 or 5 hits.
Josh was laughing at you after you'd walked away for that, and Brian.
Yeah.
Josh was like, Troy Tagg's going to help anybody that's not in California build a Cadillac. Brian's not special. And I was like, Josh, how can you say that about the guy that's helping us out all weekend? But
never happened.
We talked to Brian near it. I mean, we saw Mark Klein over there again. We've talked
Dalton
to him a bunch of
and
times.
Johnny.
Gumby.
Gumby, Dalton Gullo, Johnny Gullo. I mean, everybody is here. Like the entire cast, the whole Derby landscape. Everybody is right here, right now.
Yeah,
I mean, you got guys from California, like we said before, New Hampshire. You got guys from South and North Carolina. We got Minnesota people here, and then everything in between. It's amazing.
The number of people that we were supposed to see that we still haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's
Sean Gokenauer says, "Hey, I'll meet up with you guys."
Yeah.
Sean, I've been hanging out with him yesterday. They're a fun group.
You didn't see
guys.
Sean?
I haven't seen Sean.
He's a good.
I ran into him a couple times.
I like hanging out with them.
He was watching the.
I'm gonna have to try to find him.
The Derbies. Just message him.
Yeah, he's all the way in that corner over there, Brian.
I'll walk over and say hi.
It's funny. He got a suicide here, and he actually had some motor problems. It's
some.
Yeah. Well, he said he pulled it apart 3 times, and
it was 3 different motors that he pulled apart. And then he got this one apart again.
It does run great. It's weird. It really runs great, but as soon as it warms up a little bit, no matter what, it will not fire back up. And just about everybody here has gone over there and tried to help him, and no one can figure out what's going on. But he's a good guy, but they're from the South, and I busted
Woodstock, Virginia.
Yeah, I busted his balls a little bit because he got a suicide here, but there's a huge chunk of rust missing out of the side of it. And I said, "You're from the South. You should never be running cars with rust on them. What are you doing?
This is great for Central New York, but what are you doing in Virginia?
Come on, man."
So did you catch the undertone of that, Brian?
Yeah.
You should never be running cars like that. You should sell them to Josh Decker.
I don't want rusty ones either. Those days are done for me too, man. No, it's not rusty. It just had a chunk of rust.
This is Josh Decker who's getting calls. Mr. Decker, could you run our show now? It's let's be honest, he's famous.
Yes, I'll run your shows. Anybody, go ahead.
How many autographs do you have to sign yesterday?
No comment. No comment.
I'm just impressed that he.
It makes me embarrassed.
Hooked on Phonics worked for him, and he can write his own. That's great.
Have you seen him write it?
No.
Well, this one, I think it was Nikki Baker said, like, "Is this how you spell your name?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Where's the E and the R?" And it's like, that's all one thing there.
It's that line.
She couldn't read.
Josh is a salesman, so he has to sign his name a lot throughout a day, and you really get tired of signing your own name after a while.
I just do a line. I just like zing zing, and that's it. You can't
Cameo
read
by
it.
Tim Clark. There he goes, orange shirt. On his way to go put on another brush fire.
And Russ is over talking to the Cioppas. These guys, just everything top notch.
Well, you can't weld. They were explaining it, and I don't know exactly. I'm a little unfamiliar with exactly how the process goes, but you have to get any welding that you're doing on the car basically approved. Any welding that you're going to do on the frame has to be approved. So he may be going pit stall to pit stall.
Yeah, checking.
Just basically saying, so what are we going to do here? And that's keeping an even playing field.
But you know what's awesome is that
Good point. I never thought of that.
The promoters are out in the pits amongst the drivers and builders walking around
all the time.
I mean, that is, you don't see that anywhere. I mean,
it's a necessity, Brian, because
it is.
Especially at this, it's like, I got a question here. Can I do this? Can I do that? And you don't want to be walking around and finding the guys. It's like, nah, they'll be around, and then we'll ask them our questions, and we'll get back to building.
Yeah, it's amazing to see. We touched on something earlier, and I wanted to bring it up, but I'm going to do it now.
Dare you.
We mentioned Troy Tagg being here with 3 of his boys. Obviously, this is a pretty important weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Troy's son is a real hero. He's a U.S. Army medic. I believe he's got at least 1 Purple Heart, if not 2.
Yeah.
I mean, he is an American hero. Let's not forget what this weekend is also about. The guys that enabled us to begin with to do this stuff, and the guys that still keep us safe. I actually wanted to try to get Josh on, but after flying down, we haven't seen him yet, but let's just take a moment and remember, what it's about, and heroes like him.
And he does not have. I mean, not that in his chosen profession that he volunteered for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there any easy job?
Yeah,
he has
an
an excruciatingly difficult job because, I mean, not only is it just an awful situation that you're going into for anybody that's in that, but what he's got to do.
Yeah. Run across the field. I mean, somebody goes down, you go get him. You don't say, man, that guy just got shot from over there, and it's wide open. You go. I mean, it's amazing. And I thanked him. I yesterday was the first time I ever met him, and I thanked him for his service. And he said, the pleasure's mine. I love my job. I'd do it again.
That's you're very right, Brian. And it takes a real man. Like it's pretty neat because you say to yourself, I think I'm a man, but really in that circumstance, would you have the balls?
Yeah,
and he has those balls, and that's awesome. It really is a good thing, and we need guys like him. And you're absolutely right. We got to remember what this weekend is about, and without guys like that,
we wouldn't
even be here.
It's definitely. And whenever I can, I like to say something good about our military, especially in stuff like this weekends.
Corey Horton's here. Corey Horton's here too.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. My mind was somewhere else.
Corey Horton. He's
was
the
it
guy
the same place mine was, Brian?
He's the guy.
Yes.
He's the guy from. He's
that
the guy
back that's getting carried over there.
Right.
He's the guy from out in Dunkirk.
Yes.
That is working with the Wounded Warrior Project.
Yep.
And he was here, and he's.
Actually, I almost think I heard yesterday that something from here has to do with Wounded Warriors. I don't know if Russ and Tim are donating. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I heard the Wounded Warriors announced over the main PA.
There goes Bobby Brockway's car still getting hooked around the pits.
Yeah.
They're just going around showing everybody how cool it looks.
I'm Bobby Brockway and you're not.
Yeah, the front don't look that bad. Huh?
No. Except that he said the bumper and frame is wrapped around the steering box, which is going to make it hard to change that steering box.
They'll straighten it. It's fine.
You know what? We get a lot of people that'll say like
before we do that, Josh, I just want to bring back Corey Horton is doing a Wounded Warriors fundraiser. This is very tentative. The details haven't really come out, and we're kind of leaking it on them. But I want as many people as possible to know about this and go support it. It's good. It looks like it's probably going to be June 28th. It's going to be an indoor-outdoor type thing. It's going to be in Western New York. He's got a place picked out, but until they get everything in order, he doesn't really want to go telling everybody where it's going to be and stuff like that. But right now, projected it's going to be June 28th. If you have the opportunity to go, you need to go and keep in touch. Check Facebook, check back, and Corey's going to be having information as well about that as that plan develops. We haven't been able to connect so that he could come on the show and talk a little bit about that, but he is doing a summer derby party, as it were, as a fundraiser to help kickstart that Wounded Warrior project that he's working on.
Very good deal.
That's neat.
But you were saying?
I forgot.
You're mesmerized, man.
He's checking out that awesome roundback.
No, what I want to... Yeah, exactly. No, I want to say about Josh Tagg, too. I did talk to him a bunch, and he's actually going to be at Fort Drum for a whole nother year. He was actually going to leave in the fall, and they got him staying a whole extra year now. So, I talked to him a little bit. And
he's going to bring the 5 years up there now, right?
Yeah.
And I said, no matter what, I will get him in a car. I said the summer is real tough, but now that he's here a whole nother year, the fall, so many derbies in the fall, I'll have so many cars laying around. I said, hey, I'm going to hook up with you, and I'm going to get him in a car for sure.
You going to bring him to wheel days?
It's actually what I was thinking.
Yeah?
Because I'll have stuff left over. I want to stick him in Imperial.
He's trying to figure out how to get his rear end, his new motor, and his transmission shipped from California. So we may have to meet.
I gave him my address.
We talked about that.
We may have to all meet at Decker's house and get together and do some work for a guy that really deserves it.
Well, I said that to him. He said he would drive down to my house. I said, man, if you wanted to do that, I'll get 15 guys in my house that day, and we'll bust your car out in a day or two.
Oh, absolutely.
If you do want to get together and work on a car, I am all for it. However, I'm bringing the computer equipment, and I'm going to set up and do a podcast from there.
Done. Let's do that.
because you don't want me anywhere near anything to do with building a derby car.
No.
Can you make us some really cool stickers for it, though?
Yeah,
I can get really cool stickers for it. I can hold lug nuts if you need me to. I can sort bolts according to bolt or not bolt. and
That's funny.
That's great.
I just told you everything I know about building a derby car. Oh yeah, you need a really cool sounding motor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Josh said to me, he's like, yeah, I got this new rear end. I'll send that over to you. And I got this and I got that. I go, you can't run any of that. He's like, none of it? I'm like, none of that.
Send the motor.
Send it home. Send it home.
The motor we could get by.
I was like, give me a distributor protector. And that's all you got, man.
If there's anything that you want to provide for the car, just
gas first.
Provide either gas or welding wire.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's two things we can never have enough of.
Well, Josh has a bum right arm, from an accident that happened when he was in the military, and he says to me, he's like, you got to put my shifter on the left-hand bar, and I said, okay, you're gonna shift left-hand. How you gonna steer? Left-handed. What?
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, I drive the whole time one-handed. It's like, well, it's tough.
There's no
That's tough. That's
no
some
giving
work.
up on that kid. I mean,
No.
I want him to see Rick Englehart drive in person.
Yeah.
Because they were just awestruck that people are running 727 transmissions.
I had
People
that
that are running 727 transmissions that aren't looped or run to a cooler, they're just plugged.
Yeah.
That boggled their mind. You guys
They
are
had
plugging
no
trannies.
idea.
Yes, guys, plug trannies shut.
Dad, they're just plugging them. What? Yeah.
I must have had that conversation with 20 people. Like, you guys are crazy for running Mopars. And Rick Englehart, I hope you're listening tonight. Your name was probably mentioned 100 times this weekend that there's only one guy that can build Mopar trannies the right way, Rick Englehart.
Yep.
I said, I know guys that have been running his trainings for 10 years over and over and over, and they're not burning them out.
I met
knows what he's doing.
a guy from Kentucky who was talking about the episode that Rick was on where he showed the part,
The servo.
Yep. And then and talked about the episode where he discussed new style Fords and Imperials with Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And
Good episode.
and all, the guys from Kentucky all know Mike Brown. They don't know Rick Englehart, but they said those guys got it right when they were talking about it, and they were agreeing with Rick, and eventually Mike was saying the same things as we clarified the conversation, because we hadn't come to the point where we were comparing apples to apples, and then we came down and said, okay, stock heads up, what are you going to do? Built heads up, what are you going to do? And those guys were really complimentary of Rick. So
I had so many people bring up that episode because it's people are so one way. It's like, no, Imperials, and I'll be like, no, 03. People really got into that episode that we had because people are very passionate about the car that they like.
I think Troy and Dave Guard both mentioned that episode to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean,
people liked it.
Yeah, it was great.
But a lot of guys I think just gave up on Mopar trannies. These guys are saying we stopped running them 20 years ago, but it's we never rebuilt them. We just blah blah blah, and it's like, well, that was a problem. I think that people just gave up on them a little quick, and Rick knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Rick is, and that's and
he's a smart guy. I like Rick.
Very very smart. And he's great. He would give you the shirt off his back. Rick is one of those.
And you know what you were saying last night, Brian, which I think was caught in a lot of people. You said, listen. You know why this tranny guy's so good? He takes his stuff out there and he beats it harder than any person could.
Oh, yeah.
Rick goes and beats it to death.
Yeah,
And
Rick does.
I guarantee it.
You can't. I don't know anyone that runs his trannies harder than him.
Rick is his own R&D.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true, Brian.
I know Josh Decker doesn't run them harder than Rick does.
No, Rick goes like, this won't last you a year, and I'm like, this is gonna last me like 20 years, Rick. I don't run like you, man.
Yeah.
These don't even get hot in my cars.
Yeah, Rick. He's he is his best salesman.
10,000 RPM, right to reverse.
I've never seen a wheel go from spinning backwards at 60 to forwards at 60 that quick.
That's what's fun watching him. I mean, he'll be going across the track backwards at 30, slams it in the drive. He's still going backwards. Them tires are just spinning.
Car starts hopping. Yeah,
I love that.
Great.
I love that.
I love it when he does it after he's run the car for a little while, because it's not like he goes, and I'm not putting Rick down, but it's not like he's running. He's not going out and finding the cleanest car possible. He'll run whatever he's got.
Yeah.
So the fenders will be broken loose from everything. The quarter panel and trunk will be breaking loose. So when he throws it into drive, the whole car is just shuddering. Things are just falling off it like crazy.
He's showed up to the end of the year show at Brookfield with a box car with the front fenders cut off it.
Yep.
Just a bumper on it.
Just a bumper on the front.
And he drives it like it is, like it's cherry. I mean, he's just one of those derby guys. He's the derby guy. I mean, you look it up in the dictionary, and there's Rick's picture.
And he's one of those guys that really got me hooked on Imperials, because when I was 14, 15, 16, that's when I was really like just going to every fair and watching. And Rick was everywhere, just junking box cars like they were nothing, Just every place you go, Rick shows up with a fresh, clean, yellow box car. It's like, man, this guy's awesome.
And at the end of the night, it's junk.
Yeah, every time.
Junk.
Every time.
there he is. I lost track of Vern. I saw a guy up on top of that car we were talking about where they were clearance in the quarter panel, and I thought it was Vern up on top of it.
No, Vern's over here 9-wire in Cioppa's car. Good work, Vern. I'll send the bill to Cioppa's later. Vern's not cheap. No, I'll get it.
He is today.
I'll do it for you today.
About 10 hour and 10 minutes away from the first action pulling onto the track, and business has picked up.
Yes, it has. This is incredible.
It's
First
such a
results
beautiful
of the
2
day,
days,
actually,
you know.
yeah.
The weather's been just phenomenal. Could not have been better.
We've actually got the first results of the day coming in from Waterloo. The Memorial Day 5K was today, and running a personal record by over 2 minutes, doing a 5K in 24:14, met her goal of going sub 25, 46th overall, and looks like it is first in her age group. Melissa won.
Yeah, congratulations.
Sounds like
Congratulations,
it's pretty
Melissa.
good. Yep.
Was she carrying the kids while she ran, Chris?
No.
Or you got a babysitter for her?
No, my dad, either my dad or my uncle were watching the kids.
That's
It was
cool.
only 25 minutes. I figured what damage could they do?
That's true.
You just locked them in the house. I'll be back in 20 minutes, kids.
That's true.
That is awesome.
Nope, because the county has a problem with stuff like that.
You know, a couple years ago, I left my I don't ever leave my dad
What do you
alone with my
do?
kids, but I left my dad alone with my kids because my mom wasn't around. And when I got there, my dad was outside working on a tractor, and I walk in the house. My son opened a gallon of paint and dumped it on my dad's hardwood floors and was playing in it. And I'm like, Dad, he's like, I just checked on him. I'm like, nah, soon enough, Dad.
And let me guess, they got in no trouble.
No, not at all. My dad no, you're fine.
And if that would have been you,
Oh my gosh, I've been kicked out of the house. My dad used to threaten boarding school.
If it was
all the time.
any other kid than yours,
Yeah. Oh no.
that kid would have been
definitely.
skinned.
Absolutely.
that's great.
When I was younger, my dad used to, when I used to bring derby cars home, he'd scream and yell at me that he was going to sell them on me and stuff while I was at school. Oh man, my dad was tough.
My dad wasn't like that, but he wasn't. Like I said, my family's racing. My dad was, grew up in the 50s and 60s, and they were about building. And it took him a while to warm up to me derbying, but I mean, he's my biggest help, my biggest support. So they come around after
He's
a
got
while.
He's got that post-war era welder that's done a lot of work on the cars.
Yeah, that's post World War II, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So family, man, that's what it's about.
You know what's also cool?
That welder was originally used by William Howard Taft. You know?
Was there electricity back then?
Yes. It was a squirrel running in a cage.
Yeah. By the way, I know William Howard Taft. Josh,
Yeah.
don't look down on me. I know William Howard Taft was not World War II. It was funny. So quit judging me.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking.
Josh doesn't know who William Howard Taft is.
Shut up, Brian. I graduated with Regents.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
92 points or whatever the hell was my grade average.
You're gonna hurt your elbow patting yourself on the back like that.
And how much did it cost to get the girls to do your homework?
With
Yeah,
those
that's true. I was good at that.
with those good looks, it didn't cost them a thing.
Yeah. My English teacher in my senior year said to me, "You did not pass this class, but I'm going to give you a 65 anyway just to get you through."
Hey, how are you? You wanna?
I can jump up, no problem.
Have a seat? We have sitting down here. I didn't even realize that he was going to make it over. I'm glad he came and stopped by. Tim Williams, from co-founder of the United States Demolition Derby page.
Oh, awesome, man.
But make sure you get right up on that microphone. What do you think?
Sorry?
What do you think?
Oh, this is a huge page. This is a huge derby. It is absolutely huge.
Jump right up on that microphone so everybody can hear you. Or either that or talk louder. There's a bunch of people shaking out motors back there behind us, and it's going to be a little bit tough to hear for a little bit. Josh is far more occupied with what's going on back there. But I mean, you been getting any good pictures? I mean, I see you guys been walking around with a camera. Your Facebook page has been absolutely blowing up.
Yeah, it's been blowing up for weeks. Everybody's wanting pictures, everything. I've been trying to get pre-orders. Got a few guys. The Mad Russian, Jesse Kunkel has been absolutely great, and Jason Strickland got a pre-order from us. They've been absolutely great. Actually, my girlfriend's standing right there. Got a shirt. So They've been great. Cioppa's great with us too.
What's your take on what you've been able to see so far? I mean, is this pretty much the best of the best here, or what?
This is the best of the best. The absolute best.
There's really no comparison to what we've seen here the last 2 days. The two premier classes, all the other classes that are going to help fill out today. We're going to be here a long time today, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that's wrecked and ruined through the course of the afternoon. And inspection line is going to be closing here in about a half hour for the consolation car. So there's some guys that have got a lot of work to do in a really short amount of time to get it done. And
some little test driving going on the track.
yeah,
right
there's a lot of stuff going on back there. There's a lot. I mean, you can just everywhere you look, there's 4, 5, 6 guys hanging all over a car, getting it ready to go.
It's when you say the best drivers around are here, it's tough to picture that in your head until you actually go walk these pits and you look at 300 cars and every single one is like a 10. A 10, a 10, a 10. Everything is done to it.
I mean, that's just not even only the best drivers, but the best builders and the best crews that are putting stuff and the best equipment in all those cars.
Absolutely.
And when you look at when you come into the heats, a heat, it's like going into a feature.
Absolutely.
It's just a feature.
And as your car passed inspection, you drew a pill, and that was your heat assignment. It's not like these heats were pre-assigned or shimmied around or particular people were matched up. But the way that it worked out yesterday, literally the best was saved for last.
Yeah.
I mean, those last 2 heats were outstanding.
Well, also the track got better throughout the night.
Oh, sure.
When they wetted it down in the first heat, it was a little slower pace. People were kind of complaining about that at the beginning, but you got to remember it was muddy. And as soon as that track was drying up, the track got better and better and better throughout the night. It really did. And I think the same thing will happen today. They'll throw some water down at the beginning, but by feature time at the end of the night, the track will be perfect.
Where's your next stop? Where are you headed now?
Right now, I think probably the July 4th for Smash It. That's probably going to be our next stop.
Good. How about today? Who you got to go see next?
I'm going to be all over the place.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming and sitting down and talking with us. And what you and Andrew Shoemaker have done with the United States Demolition Derby page, everybody's on board with that. They love what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, exactly.
We appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in.
We'll talk to you later on. And there goes Tim Williams from United States Demolition Derby Facebook page, doing a great job with that.
Yeah,
and,
they have been.
We've been in talks with Andrew a little bit here, and I think our roles are going to be extended and expanded a little bit with the United States Demolition Derby. So that's
I'd like to help them guys out.
That's something that's going to be cool, and we haven't.
And
really,
I think that page is up to like 18,800.
Yeah,
likes,
it's approaching.
Right?
It's approaching 20,000 likes.
Jesus. You ever wonder how many Derby guys are out there? Well, there's at least 20,000. Right?
And what percentage? Yeah, what
That's
percentage? What percentage of those drivers, casual fans, what have you? What percentage is represented in that 20,000 of what there is nationwide? Think about the number of people that you know that don't necessarily use smartphones and don't use Facebook or don't have computers at all.
I wonder. I really wonder. And how many people that are on Facebook just haven't liked the page yet? That are Derby guys. I don't know. 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
Somewhere between a quarter and a third, I think is a safe estimate.
Yeah, I agree.
Is my guess.
So think about that number. That means you're saying there could be possibly 60,000 Derby drivers.
And when you say 60,000 out loud, it sounds low.
I know. When I said it, I was like, 60,000, but 60,000. That's pretty awesome.
Is it approaching only a fifth?
Right.
That'd give you 100,000.
But then you think of the population of the United States. I mean, that's doable. I mean, that's possible. That's definitely possible.
We had talked with David Gard yesterday. I said, how many cars have you seen smashed? And he goes, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. I don't know. Big number.
Yeah.
Ton of them.
Oh yeah.
He goes. Just within my family alone, it's
huge.
Huge numbers, and it's true.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would have liked to see what Ben thought, but Ben's over building.
Yeah, Ben and
Vern are building right now.
Ben.
They don't want to be bored sitting around. They said, we're gonna go build.
I know we wanted to talk to Ben, and nothing against Ben, but this is every time we go on the road,
He's in his glory
we
out there.
lose him.
Yeah, he's in his glory out there.
He doesn't like sitting still anyway, and when we do sit him still for too long, he starts getting twitchy
gets antsy,
and he wants to get up and go, run, and man, he's been all over this place. And
Yeah.
he did it in Kentucky,
Blizzard Bash.
did it at Blizzard Bash,
Yeah.
did it
Razorback?
in Arkansas. No. I expect
Minnesota,
nothing
he
less.
disappeared.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. We lost him for a little while.
Ben, we've lost you everywhere we took you. But you know, Ben's a good PR guy because he gets out there talking, and then I think people realize Ben really knows what he's talking about. You know, and Ben takes it seriously. He likes learning. He always likes learning the next new trick, and you know, sometimes I don't put two and two together that well. You know, I see something, but I don't exactly understand what it does, and Ben will be like, "Oh yeah, that's blah blah blah." It's like, "Oh duh."
I mean, Ben is so much a student of the game. I mean, and in the Northeast, I'd probably argue to say he's in the top 3 in terms of knowledge of build.
Very 100%.
You know, definitely top 3.
And the more you talk to him, the more you realize he really is. He could build. He could run out here.
Oh,
if he had
hands
the parts,
down.
Ben could run out here in a heartbeat.
What do you mean had the parts? What do you mean had the parts?
Well, he sold all his parts.
He doesn't need to buy any of them. He's going to go make them.
That's true. That's true too. You know, the other day I was trying to buy some washers, some big hood washers, and Ben saw I was on a Facebook page, and Ben's like, "Dude, I'll make those for you." And I go, "No, don't worry about it. I'll buy them." And next time I saw him, he had like 50 of them made for me. I love you, dude. Thank you, man. Come on, Gil Martin. Come on. Dustin
Right.
Gilmartin does not want to hang out with a cool group.
Well, he is though. He's sitting
Well, that's
he's sitting with his Cioppas. He's doing just fine. We actually looking at the clock. We're just about out of time.
I would have loved to have Bobby Brockway on. There's so many people I wanted to have on this weekend. If we could have, if everyone was so busy, you could sit here
Oh,
all
I know,
day and
man.
interview.
Here
Yeah,
comes-
come on,
here
Gil
comes
Martin.
Justin.
Come on.
Make sure you get right on top of that microphone so everybody can hear you. So what do you think?
Love the show. Been out here 3 years in a row. Best show around.
Yeah,
Hands
absolutely.
down. I mean,
And now, Justin, you were saying your whole family came.
Yes.
Mom, dad, aunt,
speak
uncle,
in so they
right?
can hear you.
Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, brother, wife, and his 2 kids.
That's a packed vehicle. What did you guys bring out here? A bus?
No,
Cavalier.
we took my truck and their van, so
That's cool.
Wow. What are you
Justin,
looking forward to today?
That's what I was going to ask. What are you looking forward to?
old iron Conti and old iron feature.
Yeah, agreed.
It's hard to argue.
No, exactly. Dude, you know what I loved about the old iron is there's all different kinds. Suicides, T-Birds, Fords, Lincolns. There was Chryslers, there's wagons, there's, there's one of everything out there.
We were corrected, by the way. Ben has run out here. Which
Oh, yeah,
we
Ben
knew.
ran Imperial. That's
Which we
true.
knew.
Yes, you're right.
We knew that.
Ben
We
brought a year, I think, 8 Imperials came out here.
Yeah.
7 or 8 Imperials
There's a
came out
bunch
here
of
from
them.
New York. And Ohio kind of stuck together and beat up on New York Imperials pretty well.
You expect anything less?
No, but I know the New York guys were putting a pounding on the asses of them wagons. But, as Ben said, they get behind you, and in an Imperial, you only got one end on a subframe Imperial.
So you gonna build a car to come out here?
No, maybe if I win the lottery.
You didn't even hesitate either. You're like, no, not gonna happen.
But what about, like, the wire class? But,
I mean,
Justin, would you come and just run a wire
a good
class or
point.
something?
Yeah, I'd probably build, if I were to run the old school class, I'd build a car just to come ruin somebody's day.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I don't have the money to compete with. I mean, I know a lot of people say it doesn't come down to money, but
No,
looking
it does.
at the, yeah.
It does.
You have to find the equipment to put yourself in the position.
If you
to
don't
be
have the money for it, then you got to find a way to build it. Put the parts together, and it's tough for some people. And it's
Yeah.
understandable.
It'd be fun to come out here and go pillar hunting. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There was some of that done yesterday.
Oh yeah.
But there's also some respect for the guys that do go out there, like you say, Justin, and just go out there and start driving it because the crowd remembers those guys. I mean, yeah, we're all going to remember the winner of tonight, but also, when you think about last night, some of the things I remember are some of the bigger hits. Some of the guys running hard.
The silver
And-
78 Lincoln that was out there.
Of
in the-
Gockenhauer's group.
Oh,
75, yeah.
Justin, have you ever seen
Hammond.
one run backwards that hard?
No.
And the humps not bend and not get all ugly? I would like to know what they did to that thing.
That's how Shenandoah County is. That's not. He didn't change his driving style for here. That's how they drive in Woodstock every summer.
Hard.
When Nationwide comes to town Monday and Tuesday, they that's how they do it.
You know, he didn't have a radiator and he went through inspection and Tim says like, hey, you're missing something. And he goes, I'm not running long enough to need it. You know, he knew he was going out there to junk someone's day.
No, my dad was up in the stands and he's like, hey, what's that guy doing running so hard? I'm like, he didn't have a radiator. He was only here for one reason.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But, you know, he took a $500 car probably. You know,
yeah.
you know, so that's what I would probably do with that thing too. And
Those newer, older Fords, they're going to be something to get into with in the future. Cheap, and they're just as hard. You can make them just as hard as the GM. So.
And, you know, guys have been leaving them lay everywhere. I mean, you could literally, I know in our area, 10, 12 of them that are laying around, and guys just don't even stop on them because they're a Ford, you know.
Oh.
But like you say, if you can build them right, like these guys are building them, they're just as hard as half of these cars.
Let's see, in 2011 or 2012, Johnny Patton had a 74 LTD at Shenandoah County, and he ran it backwards the whole night, and it never moved. It never moved. You could have taken the trunk off of it, sandblasted it, and gotten all the red paint off of it, and you could have put it on a restored car. Wow. You know, it never moved, and that's just.
I do got to go look at that car today, Justin. You just reminded me because I'm actually interested. I know you can run hump plates, but still, I would have thought the rails would have buckled down. You know.
Oh yeah. The first car I ever ran was one of those, and it definitely did not look like that.
No. My brother's first car was one of them, a 77, and that thing was ugly after the heat. The back blew apart, the front blew apart. It was, ugh.
My bumper did the same thing his did, dropped right to the dirt.
Yep.
Chuck Bowman's got one.
Oh,
He's building that for Seneca County, and
you know, Jesse Keel taught me some real good tricks. I've been trying to snag him because Jesse Keel in Minnesota really taught me some great tricks with him, and
that's what you drove when you went out there.
Yeah, and I was impressed with it. I'd like to try to build one myself.
I saw another one of those. Sean Amon had one at Seneca County last year at a 75 Ford
Trino
Elite.
Yeah, a little bit smaller style than like a midsize. Yeah,
it looked, and he had it painted up just like the Starsky and Hutch with Torino too. It was cool looking, and he drove that thing forward the whole time.
Definitely,
that thing was wore out when he was finished with it.
He had that at Canandaigua a week later too for the qualifying night. That was nice.
And I don't know what they did to it to get it to a point where they could drive it again, but it was there. He's just there to junk stuff anyway. He just wants one trophy, showman award, and that's what he wants.
I was scared when he had that Edsel out there.
It's that's for sure. More torches getting lit up. I mean, there's a lot of gas getting burned up this morning. About a half hour away from inspection closing. There's quite the lineup there still.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they're going to be closing that anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
So, do you think Johnny Gullo and Gumby are going to drive like they do in Ohio?
No.
Utah?
No. Not in those cars. No, they're not. I'm pretty sure Brett's out there. I'm pretty sure Brett's car is done. I think Brett's going to run in the street stock class. And he's talking about, what do I do? Do I go out there and just drive the balls off it, or do I try to bag it and win the money? And I was like, just junk that thing, put on a show with that thing.
What do? You try to get that transmission paid for.
Right. He actually did say something like that. It's like, it was an expensive weekend. It'd be nice to win some money back. But
Gumby is not running. Dalton Gullo's going to be in that car. Being that it's a Sunday, Gumby won't drive on a Sunday, and he's loyal to his faith and does not drive on Sundays. And so Dalton Gullo's going to drive the car, and Gumby said last night that he's going to be under a microscope, making sure that he goes and represents well.
Right.
So that could spell some bad news for somebody.
But I don't know if I come that far in just a stock class. Maybe I just go out there and run the balls off it. I mean, if you go out there and bag it and you take fourth place, no one remembers the guy that went and bagged it and took fourth, or fifth or fifth. Go out there and put on a show. Like in that class, I would just chunk it and leave it here. Pull my battery out, set it to the scrapper. I wouldn't even drag them home. And those guys came 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
With a 3-car hauler. That's a long drive.
And three pretty nice wagons in tow.
Yeah, they're making everybody jealous back there. I see everybody wandering over looking at them.
Did you go look at them?
Oh yeah, I want that Buick Estate in the worst way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty nice out there. And they talked a little bit about their travels through Nebraska were tough getting here. Ran into some problems there. Had to replace some tires, but they made it in one piece, and and it was good to see them. Ended up spending about an hour with them yesterday afternoon.
That's nerve-wracking to go 2,000 miles with a truck and trailer. I mean, that's so many things that could break, and you could be so far from home with a breakdown. That makes me nervous. Got to take some good equipment, but I'm hungry, Christopher.
Yeah. Where's the rest of the Cioppas? Fire up that grill.
Yeah, fire that grill. I need some pancakes.
You gotta fire up that grill. Enough with fixing derby cars. Let's cook.
Let's eat.
Actually, well, we're like we had about an hour this morning. We have filled all of that and a little bit more. Glad Justin came and sat down with us. Thank you. Glad you came by.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
We'll catch up with you here in a few minutes. We'll get this thing wrapped up. Don't go far, and we'll get this thing finished up here. Josh, any final thoughts before we go into today's program?
Let's call a winner. You want to call a winner?
Call a winner.
Do we dare?
All right, you go first. What class we calling first?
Let's go turn back the clock.
Turn back the clock. Which this is almost not fair to call a winner in either of these because we haven't seen the Consi yet.
God, Chris, I really, really, really think you have no chance. 42? That's your... Oh, Toby?
422, yeah, Toby Highland. It's a good pick.
There's no doubt, Toby. Gilmartin's pick is Toby, which, that's a great pick.
I didn't know we were going to do picks. Come back here.
Yeah, no, Toby's... Toby ran great last night. Every time he does, he runs great, but...
Did you get a chance to look? Did you get a chance to look at his wagon?
Yes.
Yeah. How nice was that, right?
Oh, it's packed in perfect. I was just over there looking at it, and they're like, "What do we do to it?"
Nothing. Right?
What do we do to it?
Just check pictures of it.
Check the water charge banner.
Right. Exactly.
I've been here the last 3 years, and he's been so close, and I think third year's a giant. Well, I think he'll get it this year.
So you're going with a 422.
Yes.
Toby Highland.
See, it's tough. Like the bronze wagon was just.
I just was reading his name when you said that.
Bronze wagon was nice. I mean, oh boy, I'm trying to think now because I know guys are going to say that wagons are going to pull this off. I don't know.
You started it. I mean, you got to pick somebody.
I know, but I also like Todd's wagon. I think.
What about Nazi Joe's? JoJo Davis's Cadillac there.
Okay, yeah.
There was a lot left of that after that.
I agree with that. Yep, that's a good pick too.
That was the 77 of JoJo Davis from Goldsboro, North Carolina.
I don't know, Donnie Lane I like. I mean, Donnie's from southern Pennsylvania. Actually, Virginia, I think. Northern Virginia.
Orange, Virginia, yep.
Yeah, I mean, but his wagon was pretty beat up in the back end. It's tough because think about this.
Some of those wagons look like they took a can opener to them.
But how good are their builders in putting them back together? We're not even seeing these cars because some guys maybe don't work that hard, and maybe some guys are working harder to put cars together. I guess I got to go with Justin. I might go Toby on this one.
You can't. Toby's taken.
Okay. Man. The Cioppas, there's 3 Cioppas out there. I mean,
Todd Cioppa's taken now, too.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I like the Cadillac Heaven guys. I mean,
Cadillac Heaven cars were good.
They worked guys pretty hard last night. I don't know. I'm going to say no comment.
You started it. It was your idea to do this.
Oh, boy, I don't know.
Josh is picking Trent Braun from heat number 4.
No, you know what? I actually probably would pick that. No, Braun is...
So you're not going to pick Joey. You're not going to pick Joey Braun.
Which one had the green one? The green.
Joey
wagon?
was the 131, and Trent was the 31.
Okay, I think I want Trent.
Trent won 2 years ago here, I believe.
Yeah, dude. Trent was in heat number 4. Joey was in heat number 3.
Yeah, no, Trent.
So you're going with Trent?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the bronze. I mean,
all right,
they're down in the end every year. They get down there.
So how about for 80s?
Don Santel. He needs to redeem himself after losing that front bumper. And
Good call.
He looked strong. He did look strong.
Did.
I'd love to see Bobby Brockway.
So
Bobby's our boy.
I was going to be a homer and take him too because I don't ever bet against. Oh crap! Now I got a pickle. I thought I had it picked. I was going to go with Adam Fushi. Then I turned the page, and I saw about 17 more names that because Rick Clark isn't even in the feature yet.
Well, Chris, it's going to be tough for him to get out of that Consi. I'm telling you, those guys aren't going to let him out of the Consi either.
Shane Jones' car looked a little hard, but it also looked a little wore out.
It did, but another good choice there.
I got it narrowed down to 2. Jim Youngblood. I'm not going with Jim Youngblood. Nothing against him. I'm not going with Jim Youngblood because I don't want to curse him. Because I don't want to have that. I don't want that on my conscience.
Young gun.
Yeah, Brett Petra.
His car looked really good.
He looked great.
I got to call him out on a little bit of bagging out of him.
Well, he had a brake issue.
Did he?
His caliper looked like it was hung up. His right front was hardly moving. So.
Okay, well then that answers that reason.
I got it down to. I'm going with Adam Fucci.
Good choice.
I'm going with Adam Fucci, and I'm going to kick myself because Daryl Monroe's the guy that's going to win it.
And you know what? Well, I'm going to go with Brockway.
Tell me Daryl Monroe is not a contender.
Absolutely.
I thought you were coming down on him.
No,
that guy was.
No, what I was going to say was absolutely. What I was going to say is, you got me thinking like there's 20 awesome names that could come out of that concert. They won't have enough car. There's no way they're going to have enough car.
I don't think they're going to have enough car.
Another 40-minute concert after you had a 40-minute night last night. You can't have any car left.
No, I would
to go another hour after that. You know.
Wade Sickink with DerbyParts.com is trying to get into the van.
Where is his bag? Yeah,
it's in there. It's in there. But,
Wade's a great guy. I had fun talking with him yesterday.
We're gonna hold you to your picks.
All right.
Unfortunately, I think you've got a pretty good hand right now, so the odds are stacked against us a little bit.
Yeah, no, pick some good ones.
But the thing is everybody's equal when the green flag drops. Damn, you know, right. For a few minutes anyway, everything's equal, and you never know what you don't know.
And remember, we don't know who's shaking hands out there right now. Yeah. You have no idea who's shaking hands out there.
That's exactly right. Might get a quick word with Wade here before we get off, Justin.
Cool.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That was a lot of fun getting some picks. We got Wade. Have a seat, man. Wade Sickink, how was from DerbyParts.com? How was your night?
It was awesome. I mean, that's about exactly what you expect when you come to this show.
We completely lost you.
Well, yeah, other stuff going on, and actually I had a great trackside seat there, and I was jumping back and forth getting pictures. And
if you have a great seat, don't give it up.
No, that's right. Yeah, and I was, I try to get in there and get pictures. We post pictures from these events to our Facebook page. We had 60 some pictures from A-Mania last week. We're going to put a whole bunch from this show up there.
That's awesome.
We've been kind of doing them along. It kind of looks cheesy, probably. I'm out there with my nice camera shooting pictures, and then I got to whip my phone out and shoot a couple to post to Facebook right away.
Right.
And then the good ones go on later. So.
Well, we just did picks, and we went through, and I was wondering if you had anybody that you were watching in terms of who might have the opportunity to win in the headline features tonight.
That's a tough one.
If you take the political answer, I'm going to be a little disappointed. You got to pick somebody.
Well, I'm going to take Todd, I think.
Can't. He's already been taken.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take him again. And, it's anybody's game out there. The way these guys were driving last night, we were talking about that is not only the way the car's built here at this show, but the way the guys drive. I mean, you're going to see the top builds in the country, and you're going to see some of the best drivers that know how to work these. You watch a guy and you think he's just lost in the corner, and next thing you know, he's out. And they can move those cars when the ball joints are broken and shit's not working right, and keep out of trouble. I mean, we saw some pretty impressive driving last night.
And Mark, when he got stuck in his he got himself free from the wall twice.
Yeah.
And it looked bad a couple times.
Yes.
And Mark Cioppa got
jamming
free.
him in there.
Yeah, right, exactly. He was against the wall with that used up wagon, just completely wrecked.
Yeah.
And I put that wagon on Facebook last night, and it got like 150 likes in an hour. It's like, yeah, that wagon's used up. But I thought he was pinned on the wall. He got out. And so that's the kind of stuff you're going to see. And guys are holding back a little bit maybe last night because they're trying to save as much as they can for tonight. So tonight they're not going to be holding back.
No,
it's all out.
Yeah. All the cards are being laid on the table, all in. And
now wait, if let's say you had a car that was pretty bent and you're pulling out in the feature, and you're bent, and it's probably going to be hard to get through the whole night. Do you just start going hard at the beginning, or what would you do?
Well,
as a
fan, what you like to see is the guy that knows his car's not going to hold up to just go nuts. Just junk that thing, and if you've already pulled the front end down and it's not going to stay, just turn it out and let it go.
Yep.
And I think that's what you'll see tonight. These guys aren't going to try and I think they realize in this kind of show that trying to hide out and slide around and see if I last into the money is probably not going to happen.
Not the work, right?
So let's just
exactly.
go have some fun and turn this thing into junk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, those guys that have a car that's starting to go away, I mean, they go on the offensive now because they probably shook hands with somebody earlier.
Right.
They make good on their deals.
That's very true. That's
Well,
very
you
true.
saw it in the heats too, where guys would start out. You know, they're kind of seeing how it's going to go. They're seeing how the track shapes up. They're kind of feeling around, and then as maybe after the first red flag stop, then they start getting on it a little more.
Yeah.
I think you won't see that tonight. I think they'll be right on the gas, ready to go. I mean, everybody kind of knows where the cards are, and I think that's probably how it's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did you make all your stops yesterday that you wanted to make?
Most of them.
That's
the thing about a show like this is
you had a laundry
everybody
list.
is here, and you got to see
Too many
everybody
people.
and make your way around. So I got most of it covered, but there's a few things yet to do today.
Where's your first stop now? Besides getting your bag out of the van.
Yeah, get the bag out, and then well, I already made a stop over there, and you were on my list, and I got a couple more.
Cool. Well, we're just about ready to get out of here because they're about a half hour away from getting action going on the track. We want to get this thing posted so the folks that couldn't tune in live get the opportunity to see it. Wade, thanks for stopping by again.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's get this thing wrapped up. We'll chat with you here for a few minutes. We're gonna wrap it up here from the Cioppa Racing Pavilion, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, the
food's coming out.
The food's coming out. So Josh is all excited.
Shut it down.
But you know, we sure appreciate everybody stopping by, hanging out with us here on the crash course. I think right now the plan is we're going to try and do a post race show. I don't know how it's going to work out, depending on how late it is. We are planning on driving all night home, back to New York.
We should be home about 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so
if we drive fast. 6:30.
So
okay.
we'll see what we'll see what the evening brings, and you know, keep an eye on the Facebook pages. We'll keep you updated with what the plans are there. So that's going to do it for us. Once again, you know, thanks to the Cioppas and for helping make this possible, and for GH Graphics, and of course Tim and Russ from Smash It. We'll be catching up with you just in a little bit. Thanks a lot, guys. The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derbies, host of the 2014 Bash for Cash Memorial Day Weekend, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Their event sponsors, DerbyParts.com and DerbyTees.com. Additional consideration provided by Cioppa Racing and CioppaRacing.com. The 2014 Keystone Nationals, July 19th, Brookville, Pennsylvania, and GH Graphics, and their Junket Apparel line.